What's up, YouTube? Bobbles and Ball Cards back with another video. Hope everybody's doing good out there. It is Thursday, May 13th. The week's almost over. So, I just wanted to get on tonight and record a little video. It's going to be a little bit of a mashup, and I hope, it's easy to follow along with. But anyway, before I get into it, if you could please smash the subscribe, the like, all of that good stuff down below. I would appreciate it. So, there's been several things flying around in the hobby recently. Whether it be videos, whether it be posts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the news. There's stuff going all around. And I'm sure, everybody's probably heard of most all of this stuff and have noticed some of it. But obviously the big news recently is with Target and Walmart and the retail wax situation. Target made the announcement that they are suspending sales. I've seen posts that said Walmart posted up in the stock rooms telling the vendors that all sports cards, Pokemon, etc. have been moved from the shelves and to not stock them for the vendors. Now, I watched the video last night. I believe it was the Personal Finance Dad, and he does some good content. But there was some things when I was watching his video last night I was trying to figure out on, because he was sitting there talking about Walmart, making the money on this, and he doesn't think it would go away and everything else. But from my understanding, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know everything. From my understanding, from knowing people in retail and that sort of thing, the stores don't make the money off the product. They actually make the money off the shelf space. So, as we know, there's vendors that come in, the cards are shipped to the stores. They're supposed to be kept in the stockroom. That's why we see posts all the time about somebody going back to the stockroom, taking the stuff, and walking out the store pretending to be a vendor. The Walmart associates, Target associates, they don't actually stock the sports cards, the Pokemon, etc. So, the way I understand it, up near the registers, sometimes back in the toy sections, there is a dedicated section of shelf for the sports cards and Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. There's sometimes comics, Dragon Ball Z, all that stuff. And they basically lease that space to, I believe it is MJ Holdings, and I think the other one is Excel Marketing. I think that's what it's called. And then those people are the distributors that then send allocated product to the stores. They have employees that are basically regional stockers that are, set to stock specific stores in a regional area. And so that is what Target and Walmart makes their money off of. The sale of the cards is essentially going to MJ Holdings, Excel, and that is why when you go into Walmart, 9 times out of 10, the shelf just looks like a hurricane hit it, and the Walmart employees haven't went and cleaned it up or anything, because technically, although that shelf space is in Walmart, it belongs to MJ Holding because they are leasing that space. So I guess in a sense, I don't know the best way to put it as an example, but let's say you wanted to open a shop, but you didn't want your own brick and mortar, but you wanted a space to be able to sell your cards, or if you had wax, or whatever the case may be. You could then basically lease, like at an antique shop or maybe at a flea market or something like that. You could lease a section or a booth or whatever. Now that is inside of XYZ Antiques, but they make the money from you paying them monthly for that booth space, if that makes any sense. So, when I heard him say, oh, well, Walmart, Target, and all that's going to still, make their money, that had me confused because, to my knowledge, they've already made their money. Like, they really could care less if 10 packs are sold or everything on the shelf is sold, because they're making their money off the space. So when Target is having to have employees dedicated to run customer service for a line of people, or there's fights breaking out, or there's people in the store, day after day after day, just loitering, essentially, because they're not there shopping, they're just waiting for the vendor to hopefully pop up, that isn't benefiting them. That's actually hurting them, because they've made their money, but now they have all these people just hanging around and, causing issues. So this is something that I'm surprised, honestly, did not happen earlier. It's been a problem, really, pretty much since last May, when Mosaic came out. That's when I really started noticing not being able to find sports cards. It's kind of when I stopped doing what I used to do, as far as taking a little drive on a Friday night or a Saturday night. Me and the wife would go out looking, checking Walmart or, whatever. And we have a couple that are kind of like in a little loop, and we would just go out, and we wouldn't buy everything. Honestly, I wish I had. There was 2017 Donruss football, 2018 Prism football, 2018 Topps Update baseball. There was all kinds of products. When I look back on it, I'm like, damn, I wish I bought it all. And, we would just pick up a few things, but we would have fun going from, just taking a road trip, little drive, and checking out stores and, picking up a few things that we found at this one and some at this one that we liked, and, coming home and ripping some wax. And back in May of last year, which I'm 99% certain that's when Mosaic came out, I never seen the first pack of Mosaic. I did find Optic, which was in the middle of February released. I had found Prism and stuff like that previous to that, but it was like once Mosaic hit, that's when things hit the fan, Every so often, I might get lucky and, on a Friday or something on my way home from work, I might pop in and the vendor might have just left, and I could pick up a few things, or there might be, some baseball or something that nobody wanted at the time. But recently there's just been nothing. Stickers, Pokemon, I started buying Pokemon in October of 2020, just to have some fun, and that quickly just all disappeared. And they blame it on the production, not being able to keep up, which once, I want to kind of flow this into another topic. But I don't know that it's necessarily the production can't keep up. I think it's just more people started buying anything and everything that was on the shelf. And so it's going to be interesting to see what goes further with this. It's gonna hurt the people that have, been doing this for more than just since, April or May of 2020 after, the pandemic started. It's gonna hurt the people that enjoy opening the packs because, well, unless we pay, markup or buy hobby, it's going to be a little bit difficult to find anything. I don't know what the plan will be, and I'm going to be curious to see. That brings me over to another topic. I've heard a few people discussing around. That's about, this has been floating around for a little while, but I just wanted to put my opinion out there on this. Are we in a junk wax era? And I guess you could kind of say the answer could go both ways. I heard something very interesting from a Pokemon YouTuber that I enjoy watching sometimes, Twice Baked Jake. He did this several months ago, and it actually kind of made me think about how I always talked about like the Luca Prism and being so high in pop count, etc. And why was it so valuable? But he brought up a good point that made me start thinking. His point was, card values are essentially based, obviously, on player performance, player popularity, and that sort of thing. But outside of that, with pretty much anything with a value sense to it, it's supply and demand. And we all know this. But he brought up a good point, is that we can see the supply. We can see how much wax is being available or how much of it's being printed. We can see the pop counts. We can see the number of stuff on eBay. We can see all of that. But we don't necessarily have a true definition or, view of the demand. Now, you could say, well, the demand for wax is high, that's why there's none on the shelf. That could be a yes or a no. Is the demand high because people just want to flip it? Or is the demand high because they actually have an interest in cards? Because, just as well as I do, if it's a way for people to make money, they don't have to know anything about it. They will buy it just to simply try to make a profit. So, yes, that's demand, but it's not demand for the hobby. And that's why I say the junk wax question can go yes and no. It's kind of still a question mark. Although, I've watched a couple of videos, one recently of a guy just started YouTube, and he did a video talking about Prism. And he was comparing to some numbers back from like 89. And there's things you have to look at there. So, 89, you obviously had a superstar with Ken Griffey Jr. You also had, I was 9 years old, so I remember there was a ton of interest in sports cards. So, to meet that demand, they printed a massive amount because, people were buying them. They wanted them. Then, as we know, mid-90s, towards the late 90s, the card market, the card interest fell off. I've told it before in my story. It was probably around 95, 96. I was sophomore, junior time frame in high school. My friends kind of stopped collecting. Some started playing Magic the Gathering. That was a pretty big interest in school. People could sit down and instead of collecting sports cards, we'd sit down and play a game. Obviously teenagers, girls, we started working. playing, football, basketball, that sort of thing, playing sports. And so cards kind of dwindled out of our interest. And so you had this huge demand and then a fall off. You also had, the steroid era in baseball. I can't remember exactly what year, but there was a strike in there for baseball. There was lots of things that caused it to kind of slide down. And that's when it became, quote unquote, junk, because it was so highly, popular and the demand was so high, they printed more to meet that demand. But then when people stopped having the interest in it, there was so much of it there that people just looked at it as junk. Now, today, the reason I say it's still a question mark is, yes, the numbers are high on your base cards. There's no secret, no question about that. There's a high number of base cards, whether you go by pop counts or raw cards. There's still even sealed wax out there. We know this. The question remains, and why it is a question mark, is how strong will the hobby continue moving forward? If, all of the 2020 people that came back in, the 2021 early price booming and everything, if all that interest stays there and there's a demand still for the cards, then I don't see us being in a junk era. However, if the interest falls off, then yes, you are completely spot on. And that is why I would start, if you're a collector, you're not really worried about, you don't want to buy in high in the stuff tank, obviously. But if you're a collector that, a lot of my stuff is pack pulled, I'm not too worried about value going up or down. It's in my collection. But if you're buying, then you have to be hesitant, especially right now, because card prices have been dropping. So that throws a red flag. Is the market changing? Is all of this stuff going to drop? Now, that's still to be determined. Remember last year, stuff spiked, it went down, and it started spiking again. Could this be a similar scenario? Could we just be doing the roller coaster again? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and speculate on that. I'm not going to tell you, yes, the hobby is strong. I think there's a lot of question marks right now. You have people going to start being able to go on vacations again. You're going to have people starting to go to ballparks and games again. You're going to have, I heard concerts and stuff are starting back up. So people are going to be able to go to those. There's a lot of things where life will start getting back into a normalcy. And that's going to take away from some of the budget that people were putting into cards. You also have, the crypto stuff that went bonkers, which I see, I looked earlier today. I don't know what it's at right now, but I looked at Dogecoin because that was like the hot thing. And I seen it is about half of what it was just a few days ago. You have the NFT spaces that are, floating around and all these new NFT things. So people are putting money into that side of things. There's a lot of things out there that can lead to not as much money or funding going specifically into sports cards. So I don't see a huge worry, especially if you're a collector. Think about this. If you're new within, the past 12 to 12 to 14 months, and you've been in this, hype boom era, and you came back in it on that point, and you start seeing the prices dropping and this, that, and the other, depending on how you went about things, you might be, want to hold on tight a little bit. If you've been into the cards before this wild ride that's happened, you know what basically to expect. 2017, we still had fun with it. You could still sell cards, make money, build a collection, etc. 2018, same thing. 2019 was pretty good. And then 2020 came around and all hell broke loose. If we go back to a 2017, 2018, 2019 time frame and a similar scenario, I don't see anything being a problem. So basically, it's not answering the question. The junk wax, it's possible, but I can't say that we're there yet. And that's all going to be determined of how, going forward, the hobby, the popularity of it, does the people stay that came in, or do they move away? If they move away, then yes, we're going to see, probably not as big as the 90s scenarios, but we are going to see, more of a junk era. We're going to see prices decrease. Which, hey, let's be honest. I've sat here and said some prices on cards, these ultra modern stuff, were just absolutely bonkers. A way you can, I guess, protect yourself still, even if it does become a junk era, there is so many parallels now. Do your research. Find the parallels. And it doesn't have to be some expensive out of 5 from a $10,000 hobby box card. There's retail parallels. Even in Prism. Do your research, look them up. Look at the pop reports. There are some retail parallels that are actually lower populated than even hobby parallels. And some of them are at a price that would surprise you compared to just on a base card or a silver or something like that in Prism Basketball. There are things out there that you can buy if you just sit and dig. So if you want to continue collecting but you're worried about the junk wax, just get in there, take your little shovel, dig around, and there are some great things that you can find even in the ultra modern stuff that you should be completely safe on. In fact, if it hits a junk era, these may increase in value because you'll get into the side of the people that may not want that base card, and they'll start digging and diving in to reports and stuff like that. And so, just something to think about there, guys. The other thing I want to talk about, so obviously, Sports Card Investor talked about and did the behind the scenes thing with SGC. Then he did the interview with Peter on his little podcast show or whatever. I criticized Jeff a lot, and I said that I don't support Jeff, but that is because he does things differently than I do. His channel is more focused on promoting his market movers and that sort of thing. He talks about, what cards he thinks is to go up and this, that, and the other. And I might spit names here or there, but that's not what the focus of my channel is. So when I say I'm not a supporter of him, I actually, I need to clarify that. Everybody has a way of doing things in this hobby. There's thousands upon thousands of channels out there. Many people may enjoy my content. A lot of people may hate it. A lot of people may say, what I tell people is completely wrong, and their opinion and their way of doing things is the only way anybody should do it. There's people that are more popular than me that people watch that think that they're cardboard Jesus and that they know everything, and that I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and that's all good and fine. And the reason I say that is because this is a hobby where there is no right or wrong. My way works for me. It has been very successful. This hobby should make you happy. If you are only in it to make money, you are setting yourself up to fail. You may succeed here or there, but you're also taking a huge risk at failing and losing money. If you're in it to have fun, make friends, sell a few cards here or there to build a collection that you enjoy and that you're proud of. I mean, y'all can see behind me, that isn't even scratching the surface of the cards that I have, in this room and in cases below me, the display cases. That's just what's behind me. I also do more than cards. I do comics. I do Funko Pops. I do video games you see back there. What else? Memorabilia. There's some bats and stuff back up there on the wall. So I just enjoy collecting. And whether it's sports, comics, whatever, if I'm having fun with it, that's what's important to me. That's why I enjoy doing these videos and stuff, to help people, but also to have fun, make some friendships and everything. So I wanted to say and give credit where it's due. Jeff's video was good. Now, the one thing that concerns me, though, is it genuine? That's my one concern. Is he genuine, or with PSA, being closed right now, or, most everything closed with their service levels, did he just need another avenue? Did he just need some content? Did he need a place to submit cards? That's my biggest concern, because I've been sitting here on YouTube for over a year now. I started submitting with SGC, over a year ago. Been doing the group subs, that sort of thing. My channel, I talk a lot about SGC. I get told I drink the SGC Kool-Aid. The fact is, guys, I talk about them because that's who I use. That's who I use. That's who I know about. That's majority of my collection. That's what I watch prices on. That's the cards I sell. So, of course, I'm going to talk about them. Now, I've said over and over, why does Market Movers not have SGC? Why is this solely PSA focused? And this goes beyond even Jeff. This is many people out there. They're always PSA, 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 which obviously, as we just talked about supply and demand, the more people hear PSA, 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 that's driving the demand because that's what they know. So that's my only biggest question mark with Jeff and Sports Card Investor. I really hope he's genuine about this. I noticed in the video where he did his top 5 cards, he did talk on the same thing I've asked. Why is the PSA gap so high? I've mentioned the hobby and the market can change. BGS used to be the top dog, and then PSA took over. Can SGC take that spot? Who knows, right? It's all about what the market does. So I'm glad to hear him finally give respect. He even mentioned BGS. Give respect to the other companies and realize it doesn't have to be all PSA. So, Jeff, thank you. I do hope it is genuine, because I enjoyed watching the behind the scenes. And, with someone with his viewer base, speaking on a more, I guess, truer level, and putting the card market on an open space instead of a closed bubble with one company could help everything. So, again, I hope he's genuine. It was a good video. I enjoyed it. And, I haven't said that a lot about his stuff. So, I'm willing to give credit where it was due. Another thing I wanted to talk about real quick, and, I keep seeing people that comment on Jeff's video, or other people that are doing a video talking about Jeff's video, and comments on that about, just bashing SGC and talking about the resale price and this and that and the other. Real quick, and this is just a small example, because quite honestly, it was very hard to find comps to get any true accurate details based on any cards. But I pulled up, the guy we just talked about, a Zion Prism. And, you can go over here, pull this up. You can see here, and I had the SGC pulled up. I can pull it back up in a minute. But so here is the BGS, and you can see here 328, 305, 322, 329.99, and 326. What I got with that, if my math is correct tonight, was 322.20 on an average for last 5 sales. So these 3 here, and then these 2, and then for CSG, right here, CSG on the 9.5, which is the Gem Mint, I was able to find 2, which is this one right here at 270, and then this one right here at 325. So again, if my math is correct, that puts the CSG at 297.50. And then let me see if I can get the Prism Zion Williams SGC 10. See if this will pull up. Okay. So for SGC, you have this sale here. It was an auction for 610. You have 356 now. I don't know if this was boosted by the current recent talk or what the case is. But that's 610 there. I don't keep up with the Zion market, so this is kind of just, I was trying to find a card that I can compare all the companies with. Here is one for 356. Here is one for 475. 405. Here's 550, 450. So I did a last 5 sales on that one, and I came with an average value of 488.20. So again, SGC I had at 488.20 on the last 5 average. BGS at 322.20 on the last 5 average. CSG only had 2 sales to go off an average, which was 297.50. And then I did try to pull up the HGA, who I want to talk about for just a minute. I know everybody likes the new shiny toy in the toy box, and there's been all this talk of AI grading. Guys, I don't really care about the label being colorful. I respect people like it, and if they're a collector and that's when they want to collect, trust me, collect what you enjoy. Not mad at that at all. I like the SGC slab. So, trust me, I get it, guys. The AI grading is where I have a huge debacle on. To my knowledge, they have never shown anything with AI. To my knowledge, their name starts with the term hybrid. To my knowledge, they've made claims that there's human involvement with the grading process. To my knowledge, I was told they scan a card thousands of times to calibrate the computer system. That's where my questions lie, guys. There is over 100 years worth of cards. There is all kinds of cards. There's several, who knows how many different companies, die cuts, thicknesses, bordered, non-bordered, this, that, yada, 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 right? And then you have the grading scale. So, who is grading the card originally to tell that computer, this is a gem mint, this is a 9, this is an 8.5? Who is, like, grading that to begin with, to then scan 1,000 times, or how many ever times, to give it its, specifications to designate the grade on the card? Think about that for a second. With as many products, as many variations, inserts, etc., you got, like, it almost seems like 100 different Prism products. I know it's not, but just exaggerating. You got mosaics and all of this stuff. You got hoops, and then hoops premium, and then Donruss and Donruss clearly, and etc., 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 etc. How are they even remotely possible to actually use AI computer grading, and isn't the grade that's training the computer a human opinion to begin with? I talked about this in my group. The only thing I could see the computer doing is possibly speeding up the grading. But now I'm hearing word, and I guess it's some claim that packages were sent to the wrong location or whatever, but I'm hearing word that HGA is way behind. Like, they're not even getting people checked in 10 days, let alone getting people their cards back in 10 days or something. And I'm not hating on the guys. I just have questions with all these people that are talking AI, and why I don't believe it. I think it's artificial, fake news. Until I can see, until they give some kind of demonstration or something like that, I just don't see it. And I think it would have to have a human opinion to begin with. And therefore, that makes me wonder, then, what the hell is the point? Not to mention computers and shit glitch all the time. So, I mean, what do you have there? So, anyway, the Zion on the HGA, there was only one sold I could find, and it was actually all the way back in February. And the reason I mention that is because I tried to look up Tatis, and, where is it at? Tatis, HGA, right here. So everybody talks about HGA sells good, HGA sells good. They're outselling everybody else, right? So I picked up the Tatis here. Now you have this one sale right here that went for like $73 more than the one 2 days prior. But let's look at some sales. So you have 152, 51. You have, let's see, that's Chrome. This one is 154.30. Chrome. Okay, this is what I wanted to show. Back in March, right? Back in March. 306. March 13th. You had a holiday card that was listed for $225. We all damn know that unless it's a short print or something, a holiday card is not doing this price. And then right here, March 7th, you had a $400 sale. But now you go back up here to reality current day, 152 and, 154. So, okay. Go over to CSG. They did not have anything except this one, I think, which was the All-Star game. So I'm going to exclude that because, not everybody likes the All-Star Game, even though it's a lower print. Here's BGS 95, which it was not loading that one. So I'll go over here to the SGC. So here's SGC. You had 172. You had 177. You had this one here that went from 123. 157.50, 157.50, 150, you know. So here's a 200. So for everybody out there, my point to this is, the company that holds the crown and the Godfather, the PSA 10, the one that Jeff Wilson even said makes no damn sense of why it's so much higher, is unavailable unless you pay $300 on a card. I just went through here and showed you guys. You know, I talked about the Zions. SGC last 5 sales is averaging $488, which is $166 more than a BGS 95. A CSG is $297.50 on its average, which is almost $200 less than the SGC card. You can see here with the Tatis, you have 172 here, you know, 177, that one 123, you know, sales like that happen. 157, 157. So consistently in the 160, 170 range. And then you look here, 150, 150. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Everybody wants to talk shit about the resale value. Look it up. The 4 companies there, SGC, BGS, CSG, HGA, they're all right there. But there's many examples where SGC is outselling them. And people still want to talk shit. I don't get it, but I don't get a lot of things. So anyway, guys, I hope I hope you enjoyed this. It was a little longer than I expected to go, but anyway, if you got some useful information out of this, or if there's anything you would like to discuss, comment down below. Let me know. I'll do my best to reply to the comments. Hit me up on Facebook or whatever, Messenger, Instagram, if you want to talk about anything. Again, just as I said, with the way people does things, these are my opinions. Not everybody's going to agree with them. And that's perfectly fine. You do what works for you, and, I'll do things my way. I just wanted to have a discussion. I hope everybody understands that. Nobody in this hobby is necessarily right. Nobody is necessarily wrong, as long as we're all having fun. So, with that, I hope everybody has a great night. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and until the next video, I'm out.